So here we are. I don't do big intros, so let's just jump into it. I was looking back at our conversations, and we first started talking back in 2018 about doing this podcast. We talked about a program called Zencaster way back then, which actually still exists.
I
But
remember.
we were talking about that because I think you were using that for a bit, and I was asking questions on how it worked. Because believe it or not, back then I was about a year into my podcast. So wow, where does the time go? It's amazing.
I know. Time absolutely flies. I can't believe 2018. How many years is that? That's like 12,
1400.
14? Did I do math? I don't
No, I don't
math.
do math this early in the morning for
No,
sure. It's a
absolutely not.
Yeah, a lot's happened since then. But yeah, we talked about doing it then. I think if I remember correctly, you were talking. Well, I do because I looked at it last night. But you were talking about kind of scheduling it between weddings and stuff. I guess you were getting married every weekend. So
Uh,
you didn't have
right.
time.
No, I'm not a bigamist. Nope.
No,
I actually, yeah, was a wedding photographer for about 12, 15 years. It kind of,
wow,
around there. I say that because I did a few here and there at the end, but it was very, very busy at the time. I would have been doing my podcast at the time, Secret Life
mm.
of Weddings, which is how we would have probably come together and gotten to know. I don't even
That's
remember how
exactly
we
it. Yes, I remember
met.
now. Yes, that's
Do you
exactly how
remember?
it happened. Two podcasters connecting. That's exactly what happened.
Right. Right. Yeah. So it was a lot. So I don't remember specifically how we met, but I do know we ran in the same circles, and I think that was probably what it was on Facebook at the time.
Yeah, that's what it was for sure. And yeah, you were doing the wedding photography, doing the podcast. So, and then you've done photography since then. So, if I'm correct, I looked on your website. It said you've been doing concert photography for over 20 years, which is amazing. Because if you think about it now, we have, amazing cameras in our pocket every day. But 20 years ago, you had to put some serious cash down if you wanted to take photography, right? So, I want to hear
Yes.
how that journey started. Like, what first, so let's go right to the beginning, if you don't mind. How
Yeah.
did that start for you? Like, where did you first get an interest that you can remember into photography, and just basically tell me where the seed was planted?
It was very specific. So I grew up with a single mother, and my mom, and she always took me to live shows like concerts, performances, theater, musical theater, all kinds of things. So we were always, always, trying to like wait after the show and meet the celebs and do all that. And
Right.
and so my mom has an autograph book, and so this whole love of music and art and pop culture and celeb, meetings and things like that was just really planted in me at a very young age. I grew up alongside my mom doing this in like, an alley in Toronto outside a backstage door of a theater.
Nice.
So I remember we got uh, scalp tickets. It was scalp tickets from an old school scalper, one of the sketchy ones. We used
Oh
to know
yeah.
one. For Brian Adams. It was a Brian Adams show. Huge Canadian rock star, of course.
Do you remember
Summer of
what year this was? Sorry.
Yeah, this was 1997 or 8.
Wow.
I was
Amazing.
grade 7 or grade 8. And
Yeah.
I remember I can tell you the exact show except for dates. So it's Brian Adams. It was Maple Leaf Gardens. It was back when
Nice.
they used to have I don't know if where are you located, Chad?
I'm in
Remind me.
Ottawa,
You're in
the
Ottawa.
big
Okay.
capital
So
city. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, I've been there. Grade 8. I took a
Nice.
trip there.
Yeah. I've been in
But,
Toronto. Very
but
nice. Yeah. Very big. Very
yeah,
nice. Yeah.
but I'm sure you may remember were you ever at Maple Leaf Gardens?
No, I wish I was. No.
Okay, so do you
Yeah.
remember they used to have the seats used to be called like red, gold,
Yes.
green, maybe or platinum.
I've heard
Like
that.
it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
just
Yeah. I'm a
yeah.
big Leafs
So
fan, so yeah, I've heard all about that. Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, we got some golds, which were really good tickets, and they
Wow.
were sort of like up on the side a little bit. And my mom always brought her camera, her film camera.
Yeah.
And so I got a hold of that thing, and I was around what 13-ish, max 14, and I was in the crowd, and I remember shooting as he approached the side of the stage and came up near us, and the absolute thrill I got from shooting that moment. And then I could not wait to get the photos back. I think my mom was so indulgent of me. I was like, can we do 1 hour processing? She's like, yes.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you have two women with undiagnosed ADHD at once. So she would be amazing, pay all this money in downtown Toronto to have these 1 hour photo development done, and just so we could see what came out from the show that we just shot. So this happened for the very first time at Brian Adams in, like I said, 1998. And I got the photo back, and I remember one of the photos lit me up so hard, and I was like, "This is beautiful." And all I wanted was one, one winner.
Yeah, one
And I
good
felt
shot.
like I kind of had my very first portfolio image. Not that it's in there anymore, but I still have the photo somewhere. And I got to tell you, that did go into my portfolio to go to college for creative photography.
Oh, that's nice. Well, that makes perfect sense, and that's a stunning photo. So I guess it came out perfect. It was a good shot, no blur. It was just a perfect shot of him straight
It was
on
as,
coming up the
you know
stage.
what? It was as good as you're going to get from a 14-year-old side stage with a film camera in 1998. Let's put it that way. So it wasn't super, super close, but it was like a full length or a half length with him and a guitarist. And for what I was doing at the time, which was totally auto settings,
Right.
I felt like I won the lottery. Like I got
Yeah.
it. I got it. I got
Yeah.
my shot. And at that time, I had no clue, no perception of the fact that this camera, this little point and shoot that my mom had, this little digital or, film camera, not even digital. Sorry, I just meant it turns on digitally.
Yeah.
You don't have any concept that, like, at the time as a kid, this has no manual settings. I have no major control except for the fact that turn the flash off, hope for the best, and hope it exposes correctly. So,
Yeah.
and that's a very common problem that a lot of people have at concerts is that they're shooting even on their phones and stuff, and they can't figure out why all the faces are blown out and all the backgrounds are black. And it's because the camera or the phone, and this is the one thing that never changes with tech, the lighting is always going to be trying to average to 18% gray. And I always explain this because I think it's fascinating. I learned this in college. So digital photography in general, I'll use digital is because it's easier. So if you
Yeah.
look at a scene, science basically, the people who created cameras and everything said, okay, every scene in average human life, okay, you look out the window, you average all those colors, you mix them all up together, they average 18% gray. So it's a
Wow.
science thing. And if you're shooting a solo artist like Bono on stage, and
Right.
he's standing there in a beautiful spotlight, very dramatic, he's a white guy.
Yeah.
You've got a black background.
Yeah. Yeah.
That camera is going to try to average that entire scene to 18% gray. What does it do? It tries to get detail in the shadows, which is not meant to happen, and it blows the crap out of his skin. So
Wow.
there's no detail and it's all white. So what you got to do on your iPhone, this is your hot tip for your iPhone concert photographers right now, which by the way, I totally am when I don't have my little Sony on me these days. You literally just put it up in portrait mode, whatever you're doing, click on the face, hold it down so it comes up with the autofocus or exposure focus, and then just pull it down and then just keep it there and then wait for your moment and
Really?
then hit your photos. That's the tip. That's how I
Wow.
do it. That's how I do it. So yeah, in 2026, at least when I'm not officially shooting or when I didn't bring my little camera in, because honestly, that's how I shoot more these days, not even with passes.
Wow. That's amazing. And it's funny you mentioned your mom too, of course, because I looked, of course, on your page, you have your mom shared some of your recent work too. She's proud of what you've done since then. So I can imagine her back then not realizing that one day you would become to be doing this so much, and then she'd be so proud to think like this is where it started. I was there as a mom, as a parent. I was there. It started. Me bringing you to that concert and your love for that, and look what you've done with that since. It's amazing just to see that come full circle. Just wanted to bring that
Thank
up.
you. Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
excited because I actually just spent this last week um, building out my new website, lisamark.ca, which actually has. I actually went from Squarespace to Pixie Set. So it's a whole other platform. And the reason I did that was because it allowed me to upload all the high res images from my archive.
Okay.
And it's going to archive them not only for my children and future generations potentially, because, it's art of artists that matter to this world, but I also have finally set up a proper store, which never existed before. And people have been asking me for yonks, just years. How
Yeah.
can I buy stuff? And the thing is, up until now, I have been selling my work through Analog Gallery in Toronto, and I still do.
Okay.
But they have a very specific product, right? Like it's a very beautiful giclée print. It's the larger sizes. I sign each one. They're numbered. It's a very fine art product. Whereas I wanted to do something a little more accessible for the everyday fan that maybe wants an 8 by 10 for under $100 to put on their wall, from an
Right.
artist. So, and those don't come signed, but the goal is like, it's all automated. So it's
Yeah.
wonderful for me because I'm building a system for my children. I'm archiving my high resolution photos, which I got to tell you, these days are harder and harder to make sure I'm not losing things and keeping track of things from
Yeah.
like 2003.
Yeah.
And
There's
I
so
may even
much
have to go
content.
and
Yeah.
I have to go find a disk drive, Chad. Like, how am I
Oh, I
supposed
believe
to
it.
do that?
Yeah,
I,
I believe it. You're gonna need a warehouse full of drives eventually, a storage locker of drives
well,
to keep
not
this all together.
anymore, but like I think the problem is almost reversed. Like I have it from the wedding days. I have all that stuff from the concert days already in storage, and now I'm trying to get back into it to upload it to the cloud to simplify
Oh,
like
okay, to
the
go
whole
back through it all.
process.
Yeah, yeah, that's a lot of that's a whole process too.
But I'm trying to find the cords, man. I'm trying to find the matching cords. I'm sure all
Oh
of
my
you
God.
do the
Yeah.
same. And everything is like Firewire or USB or this or that,
I
and
know.
Thunderbolts. So I'm trying to build that out this week before I start a new job. So
Well, that's good. That's very good. Yeah, it's going to take
uh,
you some time. It's like a trip down into a time machine, going back and find all these little cords that just are close to the right size that don't quite fit, or this is one that was only discontinued, was only used for a bit or whatever, and
yeah.
then it changed
Well, it's funny you
technology.
said what you
Amazing.
just said, the because I call it the vault. I call my blog the vault.
Yes,
So
you do. Talk to you about that too. We'll get there too. The vault, what that exactly is, but everything goes in the vault.
yeah.
But so you went to college for photography, and then that's so obviously from that picture, the Brian Adams concert. You love music, obviously. That's a given. But then you wanted to do this as a career. Like, what was the next thought process for you going to college? This was going to be your one main career.
Yeah, so I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do for sure. So I was good between a recording engineer and a creative photographer. And
Wow.
so I actually went to see my cousin in Victoria, BC. She took me to a recording engineer studio, and I talked to her friend who was very gracious to tell me what it was really like to be a recording engineer. And honestly, it was too like you have to stay in the little room. It wasn't the live event stuff. So I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? Nope, photography's for me. I want to be out and about. So I went to applied to one college because apparently I'm cocky like that. I I don't know. I
Nothing
just
wrong with that.
it was just I applied to Humber College in Toronto. I was from nearby. I felt strongly about it. It just, my grades were really solid. And even though my high school didn't actually have a photography program, I went and I actually volunteered at a film studio that was for food photography, which was a friend of the family. And they were very kind and let me kind of shadow them for the day and wrote me a letter of recommendation, showed me some enlargers, showed me like we were talking back in film days here.
This is before
So
Instagram. Everybody filming their McDonald's supper
a
on
hundred
Instagram.
percent before.
This is something totally different that people listening right now will be like, "What is she talking about? And what's food photography?"
What's more like what's an enlarger,
Yeah.
right? Like so yeah, exactly. So, darkroom stuff, film, development. So anyway, the point is I got into Humber. I was super happy. So I did Humber photography, creative photography for 2 years. And I did learn a lot of the basics, but I'll be honest with you, I don't feel I really started to hardcore learn my skill until I got out and just started doing it. And I think that's really a good lesson for anybody, especially neurodivergent people like me, ADHDers, creative hearts. Sometimes you just got to get hands on and doing it.
Hmm. Yeah. So did you find there was a lot of opportunity for you to get out there and do it and get hands on?
Absolutely. And I think there's always people looking, especially for weddings and events and things. And you do have to be very careful about how you handle it as a new photographer because you want to make sure that people understand that you're new. You don't want people to ever feel cheated or misled, so you always never want to show anything but your honest work, show what you're going to show, and then say to them like, I'll do this for a discounted price because I am new. And there's nothing wrong with discounting when you're new like that, because you do need to. It's only when you get established and you're fully paying for insurance, you're fully paying for all the things and
Hmm.
education, etc., and you're like, no, now I feel I can deliver 100% product to this client. That's when you shouldn't be discounting, in my opinion. And that's just my own personal business, how I went about it. But that's, quality work later for sure.
And that makes perfect sense too. So I'm curious about how, because you said obviously you were new, everybody starts somewhere. People have to take a chance on you, especially when it comes to their wedding. I can imagine you've been married. You want to be done just right. You want it to be perfect. You want the photographer to capture exactly what your vision is, and you're new and you have some skills, but did you find it hard for people to, I guess, take a chance on you, or how did you kind of break into that? Like people have to recommend you. How does that work? How did you do that?
Yeah, it's definitely recommendations are huge. So
Yeah.
that was a big one. And that I think I got my very first wedding at Castle Loma I took with a friend of mine because I was so scared to do it. She was a
Mhm.
classmate of mine named Milena. And we took the Casa Loma wedding, and honestly, it went great. But that's what I did. My very first one is I actually paired up with a friend. I felt having two separate photographers, both with unique skills, that we could double shoot just in case
Mhm.
anybody messed up and missed the moment. That would be a really excellent piece of advice to someone newer in their career. That's having a second shooter. So that's very typical of a wedding package. But a lot of us, we try to go to alone when we're new, especially in photography, because there's no money to pay the other person typically if you're just starting, right?
Right.
So that's a one way though. Just split the damn money. Like it will split your anxiety in half. I'm telling you right now, it's great. So consider doing that with a friend in the beginning. Then when you have your portfolio, it's not scary for people to take a chance on you because they literally see the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. So if they like what you do and they can see enough of it, especially if they can see their venue where you shot already, that gives uber confidence. Like that
Mhm.
gives the client huge confidence. But until I could get that, I actually had a system. I think I discounted 25% for off-season weddings in the beginning, and then that really allowed me to build up my portfolio of all the venues. And then what I did was I actually blogged. I was one of the very first photographers to do that. People were blogging things, but people didn't blog it the way I did. I blogged it all with the SEO keywording around the venues because I knew that the first thing that a wedding, a bride or a groom or whoever's getting married is going to be searching for
Mhm.
is a venue, because that's the first piece you got to get. And guess what? They're going to see all my work. And I used to hear, wow, I just saw your logo popping up all the time on Google image search. I'm like, oh, funny.
Oh, that's how it works. That's a good way to get your word out there, to get them to know your name and your brand because they can see it popping up in Google. I mean, who else is not looking at Google, right? So that's perfect. Wow, never thought about that. It's amazing.
Well, what I ended up doing was I ended up building a venue directory guide and a photography location shoot guide. And it basically had sample photos that I had done, plus all details of like how to book it, how much it is, where to find pricing, blah, 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 blah. And it was a huge hit, and it
Wow.
blew up my business for sure.
No, that's amazing. So when we did connect in 2018, 2019 kind of thing, how long had you been doing it at that point? Like how many weddings I mean, it's a lot to count, and not every
Oh,
one, but how
hundreds,
far, yeah, you had a good
hundreds.
portfolio and you had a lot of experience by then, right?
Hundreds. Yeah, I had been doing it for years. And it was one of those things where I I had just been doing it for years, and I it was one of those things where I was sort of getting out of it at that point.
That was
I
the
hit a
tail end of
wall.
it then? Okay.
That was the tail end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had done it, like I say 12 to 15 years because I kind of did one here and one there, and and I can always do them technically. I mean, technically you could still be going, but I did them for about that long. And I realized that I just needed a new creative challenge. And for an ADHDer who, by the way, at that time wasn't undiagnosed,
Mm.
that's a heck of a long time to do something.
To
Typical
stick
of
with it, and you were getting a lot of business, I assume, right? You were getting a lot. It was becoming like
huge.
a lot. Yeah, a lot to handle.
Yeah.
And you
Oh,
were
I
doing it
was
by yourself, right? Did you have a team, or were you doing it by yourself mostly?
by myself. However, I did hire my husband to work. He worked with me. I consider him a partner in the business. It's just not
Yeah.
technically sole proprietorship, but
Yeah, he's in a
he,
lot of pictures too. It makes sense. Yeah, I see him there.
yeah, and
Yeah.
right.
Very
Well,
photogenic.
he's very handsome,
Yes,
my
he is.
husband.
Yes, he is. I can say
So
that.
he would, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So he would take the meetings with me, which we always found was really wonderful because people loved having a husband-wife team for a wedding.
Absolutely. Yes.
He would be able to bond with the guys in the room, and I'd be able to bond,
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the
Split
men,
the
and
room. Yeah, that's
we'd
awesome.
split the
Yeah.
room a little
Yeah.
bit. So it was really good. And then, yeah, we did some amazing traveling. We had a couple take us to Maui for a week for a wedding, which was
Wow.
incredible. And then we went up to Mount Haleakala, the top, and we shot on top of a volcano. It was incredible. And then we also went to Paris for a week with a client for their engagement session. So we went all over Paris with them and shot them in all different outfits. It was so cool. And we
Amazing.
actually did our own photos at the end of that week in front of the Eiffel Tower. So we got up at 3 a.m. and did hair and makeup from ourselves
Yeah,
and got in
yeah.
front of the camera, which I
You
thought
can't
was
miss that
really fun.
opportunity. Yeah, exactly. So you might as well take it. That's amazing. Yeah. Your work is
Yeah.
amazing. Did you get a chance to see some concerts when you were on these trips? I know you're busy working and doing photography, probably not a lot of time, but did you get a chance to at least get out and see shows that might have been happening in these places?
Not on wedding trips, no, no, but
Just too
we
scheduled,
definitely
too
have
rigid.
taken. we've definitely taken several over the years. We went and saw Madison, was it Stone Roses at Madison Square Garden when they got back together, which was
Wow.
huge for us.
Yeah.
And that's in the vault on my site. And then we went to see Oasis in Manchester when they got back together this past July. It literally is about 5 days from the anniversary of when we were there a year ago. So we were probably on our way to England
At this
shortly a
time,
year
yeah.
ago today.
Yeah, that was
So
massive. That was a big deal. And I'm not surprised at all you were there. I'm surprised you weren't there at every show. But
it was hard not to be, but I got to
yeah.
tell you, the effort. If have you ever gone to like one of those giant shows, like a
Yeah. Like a
festival
stadium?
almost?
Like a stadium or
It was so big,
because they're in stadiums for obviously for the
but it was even harder than that. It almost felt more like a festival vibe because of how you had to get into. It was like a
really.
Downsview Park kind of thing or Rogers Stadium. Like you
Okay.
had to like go there, Heaton Park, and then you had to get in, and then you had to wait, and then you had to go further, and then it
Oh
wasn't easy
wow.
to get in and out. So after absolute hell trying to figure out where to line up and being frustrated by that, and it was all different inlets and stuff, and I had a camera with me, so I was desperate to get to the very front, but no matter, because of the way it was set up, and this happened on all the tour dates, at least the ones that I went to, Toronto and Heaton Park.
Hmm.
It was just kind of a mess what lines were going to be let in first, so you didn't know where you were going to end up, and I that gives me anxiety because I know I will wait 10 hours to be on the rail to get shot.
Right.
I will do that.
Wow.
And I'm happy to do it. And I do it with my daughter now. My husband hates doing it, but I'm a rail setter. I will, all my shots over the years, not all of them, but many, many, many of them, they're not from buying VIP passes, people. They're from like buying a good ticket or waiting all day in line on
Really? That's I wanted to ask you that too. Like, did you get VIP passes, which are very expensive? Anybody can do it now, but even back then it was something else. Or did you have like a press pass or something because based on your portfolio?
both.
Okay.
So back in the day, many press passes,
Yeah.
um,
That makes
because
sense.
the camera technology was not there yet to bring something into the venue. Although I did that at the Stones in Buffalo and got away with it beautifully. I brought a
Nice.
beautiful little Nikon D300 and like a $2,000 lens on it, like an 85 millimeter. And it's some of my most beautiful work. I love it so much. It's my Rolling Stones gallery. But I was shooting like through cranes. I was shooting through everything. Like you have no idea when you see the finished result what you
The
went through to
obstructions you
get
had to
there.
go through to get there. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Like I've been
Amazing.
in pits before, like mostly in college,
Yeah.
it was crazy. And you would just be in there like trying to get what you could. And actually, to be fair, I did it in Mexico City. I shot Blur in Mexico City, which was a lifelong dream. And I remember I was there and I was behind several people, even though we waited for over 10 hours and
Wow.
went right to the stage that day. Couldn't even get rail then. So I had this big giant camera rig with, because I had a pass to shoot
Right.
and I had a 70 to 200 lens and I had it over my head with shooting like that because
Oh my
on
God.
the screen because it was that aggressive and it was crazy. Yeah, so that was
How long
wild.
were you over your head like that? Because that's not comfortable. Like, how long
No,
would you have to,
it's quite a while. So it's like I'm doing, like
with your
hold,
arms up
like bring
for,
your arms down, like
yeah, to
palm
take a
them
rest?
down,
Yeah. If
and
you're
then
looking at
try
video, you can
again.
see you actually demonstrating it. Yeah, that's insane. But what you do for your art, I mean, that's what you do. And the shots were
Well,
amazing.
thank you. And it's funny because you say that right because it's like the Blur one was very particular. So his Damon Albarn and Blur's security are incredibly tight around photography, photographers. Like
Some are,
even
yeah.
they caught me doing gorillas one time in Toronto, and I was
Mm.
like closer to the stage, and I had a wee little camera that got in. It did have a detachable lens, but it was really small, and they still were like that.
Oh,
And I was
really?
like,
Wow.
okay. So I put it down and I walked away and I went to the middle of the floor and I got some completely different, beautiful images. So that though is how, so I had to actually talk to the same guys in Mexico. I had to say, listen, I have a pass. I promise. I have an email with, you know, I am officially pressed. I just waited here for 10 hours because I really wanted a good angle and I wasn't coming and going out of the pits all day.
Yeah.
Okay, promise you'll put it out after. I swear to God. So I did. I shot during the first three, put it down. Damon then comes into the audience, and I'm like,
No.
I can't, I can't shoot this with my gear, or they'll kill me. And also, I'm starting to know these people a little bit, not know them, but just they'll
They
start
know
to
of you, they know who
me.
you are, and they know your work, and
No,
they've got an
no,
idea
no,
of
no.
who.
I don't think they know me. It's more just like watch for the blonde girl. She'll be at the next show kind of thing. Like I'm worried
Okay.
about that more than I am like them singling me
Okay.
out. But I just don't want to get, I don't want to piss off people. I don't want to be a liar. I want to be
Well, I
there
hear
for
you.
the
Yeah.
artistry. So what I did was I whipped out my iPhone and I shot it on my iPhone and I cleaned it up a little bit in post and it looks perfect. That is how good is what my point is. I literally have the same gallery. Most images are all with a 70 to 200 and a D4S, a Nikon D4S. That's under 10 grand, but still a big around 10 grand kit. And then I've got an iPhone photo in the same gallery because that's how good it's come. So don't fool yourself into thinking that just because you don't have the $10,000 grand setup, whatever, you can't get something beautiful that people will go, wow.
Yeah, they don't have to spend the money like they did and they do. And if they know what they're looking for and know what to buy, like you said, do you offer like guides or tutorials, easy for me to say, or training on this or what people should use or not use or like tips and stuff on your website? I didn't look that deep, but if you didn't, you should.
No, I got to tell you,
Use
I
this
don't.
podcast as one of it. But
That's
yeah.
okay. And you know what? I don't. And I'll tell you why, because I'm not a gearhead. Um, it's a very, I'll be honest with you, Chad, it's a very guy thing. Gearheads are very male. It's just how it always was.
No, it shouldn't be, especially now. That's
Oh, it just
that's
is.
unfortunate,
No,
yeah.
it's like I'll give you an example.
Because you sound like a gearhead now. You sound like you know exactly like all these little pieces, all these little parts,
Yeah,
everything you should be
no.
getting. You sound like a total
See,
gearhead. So there's
if I
nothing,
was a guy gearhead
no
though,
sexist about it. Yeah.
oh, it's total no, and it's so funny, and it's more like not so much as it's more like a social like observation. Like I'll give you a great example. Like when I was shooting weddings, I had a very small kit. I would work with small flashes. I would make them big by putting them behind a reflector. I would use clever little ways to like keep my kit very light. My husband doesn't like he's carrying all my gear, and I did have a lot of it, but it was lenses. It was things
Nice.
that actually made a lot of a difference. The photographers that I would see when I was out and about shooting in Toronto would be, especially the men, always the men, the big lighting kits, the big, soft boxes, outdoors, the whole thing. Do you have any, in reception setups too? Do you have any idea the
Like
amount of money, time, effort, gear you're carrying? And it was always guys.
unfathomable amount, but yeah, I can imagine.
Always.
Yeah.
So if you look at any of the, so the reason I bring this around is because we're talking about the gearhead idea. So
Yeah.
it's typically those types of guys that run those blogs because they do keep up on the tech, and I swear I don't. And that's because that's the weakest point for me, to, admittedly, as a photographer, is people, my friends and family will say, "Should I buy this camera?" And I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what came out. I haven't bought a camera in 7 or 8 years, 10 years."
Which would
Um,
surprise them. They're like, well, how do you not know? This is your whole, not your
well, I
whole life,
don't
but it's a big
study
part
it.
of your life. But yeah,
Because I'm not buying it myself. So if you're not
that's
buying
true.
something for yourself,
And you're not reading up on that or keeping up on it or looking and you're not, I
right,
guess, that invested or you don't have time for it. Obviously, it makes perfect sense. I understand that totally. You're not sitting there
right.
reading
It's
about gear right now.
kind of like if you were a refrigerator salesman, or not salesman, sorry, refrigerator
Repair, like
repairman,
a tech. Yeah.
tech, and someone said, "What's the best new fridge to buy?" And you're like, I haven't bought a fridge in
Yeah, I
10
just
years.
fix old ones. I
I
have one
just
from
fix old
25 years
ones.
ago. Yeah, exactly. I have my old
Yeah. So I
Whirlpool.
don't. So what I do is there's actually phenomenal websites by the gearheads that I love. And don't get me wrong, maybe there's women gearheads. I'm sure there are. They're just in the wild. I've only seen men. Um, but
Nice. We should take a picture of
they
one someday.
I think women are just maybe, first of all, we're smaller. So maybe we carry less naturally because we're smaller. And a lot of times women do work alone. And then, or they have female assistants too. And then it's just a lot of gear
Yeah.
physically. And a hell of a long day. And don't get me wrong, I did my carrying too. It wasn't on my husband. But even for me, it was a lot, right? So I think one of the best things to do if you're looking for a new camera, and I tell my friends and family this, and I use it too, is there's these wonderful websites you can go to. It'll come right up on Google. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name, but it'll compare different models and you can see raw files from each one and it'll talk about comparative, like this Nikon versus this Nikon. And that's the kind of website that you want to go to. Look up the specific model you want and he'll give you like all the good stuff.
Right, that makes sense. And there's YouTube videos out there. People have all kinds of tutorials, and there's all kinds of things they can do now to look. I mean, it's right at your fingertips. So I'm sure anybody who wants to know can, if they're listening to this and they want to check out and become a gearhead or know more about what they should use. I mean, listen to Lisa, but they can also be pointing in that direction too. So that's pretty good.
I can tell you the new Sony's is what I shoot with now. So I did buy, that's a lie. I did buy a couple little cameras in the last 5 years, but not big ones. So they're what I use now as a guerrilla kind of shooting. And this is what I highly recommend. If you're serious about doing rock photography from the audience, which you totally can these days. Get the Sony, I want to say it's like the MX. I'm so bad at numbers, 1000, 2000, 3, I don't remember, but MX something, and it has the attached lens, not the detachable. That's the key. If you get, and it's about $2,000, so it's not cheap, but if you get that one, that's the one I use. Phenomenally happy with it. I brought it to Manchester. I shot Manchester with it. I shot other people with it. I shot my other stuff from the audience over the years with the other Sony that's very similar. So highly recommend tiny camera. And because there's no detachable lens, security will 99% of the time let you in with it.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's a good pro tip. That's awesome. With the time is running out fast, unfortunately, on Zoom, I do want to get to this. So you've shot a lot of concerts, a lot of bands, you've seen a lot of shows, which I'm super jealous of, and that's very, very cool. One of the big ones, though, and another way we connected too, was I saw a picture at the first back in the day was a picture of you in a headlock with somebody. Looked familiar to me. I didn't know exactly. I'm like, that looks like someone I recognize, but I gotta know. I gotta ask her the question. First of all, tell me who the had you in a headlock and why you let them do that, and then tell me about your love for that band, why you love them so much, because they're a big part of your shows, I can tell.
They are. So that was Noel Gallagher from Oasis.
Yes.
1999, the first time I met him, it was me and my little cousin Crystal, and we were obsessed and still are. Well, I am still am. Anyway,
I like how you
so
said
I
were. Yeah.
were well,
Yeah.
I still am, but she's
Hmm.
grown up with it. I haven't.
Nice.
But it was great because he went to pose with us, and then he just put us in a headlock, and it was so
That
funny.
seems his
I
attitude.
remember
That seems his style. Yeah. That's
I
very
was just
natural for
playing with
him.
him.
Yeah.
He is, and he's funny because he's British, so he's very dry witted, right?
Yes.
But
And
no,
him
I've had a
especially
lot.
too. Him and Liam too. Have you met Liam? Liam seems a little bit more harder to speak to, maybe.
Liam is harder to get.
Access? Get to,
He's
yeah.
harder
Makes
to
total sense.
access.
Yeah.
I have a great little story if you're interested. I
I
actually got
am.
backstage my in Oasis in 2008. Um, recognized my lifelong dream of getting backstage in an Oasis show. I pretty much just asked. I dropped the right name, and the guy literally just passed me a pass.
Wow.
And my poor husband was with me. He wasn't my husband yet. He was my boyfriend. And this was 2008 in Ottawa, Montreal. Anyway, so I said to him, "Oh, can my boyfriend come?" And he goes, "You're, can I swear on this or not?"
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can say whatever you want. Yeah.
He goes, "Your boyfriend has two chances of getting back there, slim and fuck all."
That sounds about right.
I went, "Sorry, honey,"
What
but he
about the
was
slim one? Yeah.
right. No, and Justin was honestly the best ever. He was like, "Honey, go enjoy. I will be in
Yeah.
your car. I'll be waiting for you." So I went and I
Amazing.
had a set list that I had gotten from the show. And I went back and I immediately met Noel and I was just hyped day. And I'm just like, "Oh my God, hi." Da, da, da. And he's like, I'll be right back. I'm just going to get a glass of wine." And I'm like, "No problem." So he went and got a glass of wine and came back. And then he starts talking to me and he's asking me like my opinion about one of the new songs on the album, which was like mind blowing to me that Noel Gallagher would ask me about anything. And the
This is
funniest part,
2008, you said?
2008, yeah,
Were they still, they broke up for a time in the early two?
2009, they broke
Oh,
up
right after. Oh, they were on their way out.
right after in
That's insane.
Paris.
Wow.
So,
What did
so
you say to them?
I I gave the opinion. So I basically he asked me the opinion. I was about to say it. He goes and he kind of answered his own question, and I just went, "Yeah,"
Yeah,
stuff
there you
like
go.
that. But when
Amazing.
it really gets interesting is when Liam came in. So we were talking, and I had this set list. Noel kindly signed it for me. I got all the guys in the band that were in the room, and Liam was so sweet and so like worried about his voice that night. He was
Mm.
going through a period where he was having a little bit of trouble. He was not feeling very well or something. And I said, he was like, "Are you sure it was good?" I said, "It was wonderful. Slide away killed me, but stand there privately with this man in a back room and talk one on one about his insecurities was a wild experience for me." I actually, and then I was like, "Can I have a hug?" And so I got a hug. And he signed the set list for to Lisa and Justin. And it was really darling. He put an E on Justin, so it said Justine. I'm like, "Oh, there's no E." He's like, "Okay." So he scratched it out. And then I said, Liam, I am looking everywhere for Andy Bell. Andy Bell is a very talented bassist for Oasis. He was the last person that wasn't on the set list. And I was like, "Do you know where Andy is?" So I get the set signed so I can get back to my husband in the car or boyfriend. He's like, yeah, come." So he
Wow.
took me and he personally walked me through all the backstage. We walked all through and found Andy hiding on a little couch talking to a woman. And I felt like such an asshole because he's
Just
sitting there trying to probably pick up this woman or have this private moment. I don't know, maybe
excuse
whatever.
me, can you sign this
Can
piece
you
of
sign?
paper?
Seriously, no, but
Yeah,
Liam didn't. He was so wonderful. He came up and he just went, "Hey, can you just sign this for her?" And so he asked him for me, and he looked up and
amazing.
he signed it for me, and I thanked Liam again, and I went, and I just like for him to do that for me, he didn't need to do that. He didn't need to leave the party backstage. He didn't need to go out of his way after a long show. And that's who the Gallagher brothers are. That is literally my experience. Noel has invited, like I asked him on my birthday, I said, "Can I come into the sound check?" And he lets fans in. He goes, "Yep." He signs all down the road before Noel
Wow,
Gallagher High Flying Bird shows. And then I said, "Can I come in?" He goes, "Yep." It was me and my girlfriend only in the Sony Center, which
wow.
is thousands of people. We saw 11 songs. They played full. They're just sitting there. And I'm not allowed to touch my camera, which is right beside me,
Yeah,
killing me.
yeah, it must be.
But I just want to share that because that is my experience as a fan since I was 12. And it has been an absolute core part of my life. My husband and I met at an Oasis concert in
Wow, I didn't know that.
2005.
Wow, amazing. How
We
great
did.
that's
We
why
met
it's so
because of the
entwined into
band.
your life. Yeah, wow.
So it's pretty wild. Yeah, it's been a wild ride, and I just always like to share that as a little tidbit because it was really for little me, it was a big deal.
Yeah, that is a big deal. That makes perfect sense. And what I find very interesting about that too is like this is before, I mean, people were doing it back then, but now every day, if you pay enough money, you can get a VIP experience. You can get those one and done quick experiences like that. Anybody can do it. But back then, first of all, you didn't pay, you got into it and you got this really amazing, unique experience that you can share that's for you, which is just incredible, which you'll have for the rest of your life. So that's really amazing. That's very interesting.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
it's
very
something I can
cool.
pass down through the family. The tales of
Exactly.
mom.
Tales of
Yeah.
Mom, which yeah, she was cool back in the day. Can you imagine? It's hard to believe, yeah. And it's funny too because you have, I think, more pictures of Noel than you do of Justin on your page. So I mean, one could maybe think that
He
who is she
doesn't
actually
want to be
married
on
to?
there. He doesn't want to be on there. He
He's on there
doesn't.
enough. Yeah, he's very, like I said, photogenic. I meant that for real. He's on. He's in there in some, but yeah, it's
He's very
mostly
handsome.
yes, he
Yeah,
is. It's you,
I
your
would put him all
kids, the
over.
concerts, the weddings. Yeah.
I would put him all over, but he doesn't have social media and he's a very private guy. So I try to respect that.
Well, it kind of works actually too. The yin and yang. You're out there, you're putting yourself out there, you do pictures, and he's kind of in the background supporting you, and that's amazing too. I mean, that's kind of how it works. Can you imagine if you guys are both out there trying to put yourselves over? I mean, you fight for the spotlight. That might not be great either. You guys might actually that might cause turmoil. I can imagine. So
I 100% agree. He actually says it himself. He goes, "I am here to
opposites
support
attract.
you."
Yeah.
And he was always so wonderful. He stayed home with both of our babies. He raised them up while I was working at the studio and editing, and he would edit for me too. And we worked so hard together to build our family business on the photography and bought our house. And we're just
Wow.
so lucky and so grateful to have what we have and have such beautiful kids. And Liam and Jill are my kids.
Nice. Yes.
And
Very very cool.
yeah, and Morrissey and
Liam,
Sally.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah.
Morrissey and Sally Cinnamon are our two Russian blue cats. So those are our
Oh, there you go. Yeah,
boys.
well named family. That's very, very cool. With less than a minute to go, I don't want this to cut you off. So, people who might have missed it, where can they go check out your photography? Where can people connect with you online and see all your wonderful pictures?
Definitely. So there's a couple places you can go to lisamark.ca. That's the best one. That's going to show you my portfolio plus all my vault entries, which I'm constantly updating. And I've also got Instagram at Lisa Mark Photography.
That's amazing. People should go check that out. There's so much more I wanted to ask you. Maybe we'll do this again sometime. Hopefully, we can do that. But it's very good chatting with you. I've been waiting for this since yeah 2018. So it's good that it
2018.
finally yeah that's what it says on my watch here. So I'm glad we made it happen.
Oh, it's been my pleasure. Thanks so much for inviting me, Chad.
Awesome, Lisa.